Today is Holy Saturday, which marks the third of the fourth distinct points along the path of the initiate, moving into mystical union through the course of Holy Week. We began with Maundy Thursday and an invitation to dedicate some aspect of our lives, your life, to sacred service as an act of devotion in God. We then went to Good Friday, recognizing that this is the time of the pruning, the crucifixion, where that which is no longer serving us is stripped away. Oftentimes we have a realization of what that particular characteristic may be or facet of ourselves that needs to be stripped away as a result of devoting ourselves in God. I've been using my own journey as a way of being able to share how this appears in our own lives. So yesterday, in the time of Good Friday and my time of pruning and crucifixion, as I shared about needing to come into a softening and opening up for help, I don't know about you, but when I come into a time of crucifixion, it is often accompanied by tears, and there's some measure of suffering, because in this time of crucifixion, what was happening yesterday, and was happening in the story of Jesus, although he came into it with a very surrendered state of being, is that there's this renting away, this pulling away of all the ego, all the personality attachments to whatever the image that we may have held of ourselves, or whatever that aspect of your life that you've decided you're now going to dedicate into sacred service, into devotion. I mean, for me, it was a beautiful decision of coming into another aspect, another layer of how ministry is going to show up, and yet everything that was around it has fallen away into the opportunity of what will be transformed and brought into newness. At the point in time in the cross where divine love, as represented in the feminine form of Mary, and I spoke of that yesterday as being the agape that could surround and embrace all of what is, Mary also is the representation of the very human aspect of ourselves that comes into this experience of crucifixion, of pruning. Then there was also John, the beloved disciple, who is as well an aspect of love, the eros of love, which is the coming into what is going to be made new. Both were enfolding the experience. What is it that allows us to go through that period of suffering and recognize that we can bear it? It is the appearance of love, but it's also the knowing that our suffering is not something that continues permanently, that it is a stage. It is this pruning and crucifixion stage is one of the markers on the path of the initiate. Which brings us then to Holy Saturday. I gave you an invitation yesterday to write your name on a slip of paper as a significant way of symbolically saying that you are ready to step into the tomb, and then to place that somewhere that would represent for you a tomb experience. And I want to go ahead and pick up now the story again in the Gospel of John and come into now the tomb and the point of what Holy Saturday truly represents. So I'm into the 19th chapter and around the 38th verse in the Gospel of John. The crucifixion is done. Joseph of Arimathea, who was one of Jesus' disciples, yet he was his disciple in secret, came to Pilate and asked for the body to be able to be prepared and laid into the tomb. One of the ideas that I'd like to presence for you now is that when you come into the tomb experience of going into the void, that there will be perhaps people there to support you that might be surprising. I had that experience yesterday where someone that I didn't even think of that might be able to offer support for this transition that I'm currently experiencing sent me an email with a very generous offer to spend time with me and help coach me through these stages of unfolding that I'm experiencing. So Joseph of Arimathea goes to Pilate and asks for the body of Jesus in order to prepare it for the tomb. What is the tomb experience? This particular point along the path of the initiate that is unfolding into mystical union. The tomb is the place where we go into the deep, deep silence, into the void and the waiting. See, the tomb is where there is no activity. It is about being in that state of surrendered, total surrendered willingness, total surrendered love that awaits then the divine revelation that comes in the darkness. When they received the body of Jesus, they anointed it. They prepared the body with oils, myrrh, frankincense, the preparation in the area of the throat, the power of the spoken word, in the hands of serving in the world in the transformed state in the resurrected Christ. In the third eye, the place that is the insight that fills the body through the crown chakra, the receiving of the complete and total light. Yet before that happens with the resurrection, there is this place of coming into the tomb. It says that they took him to a garden where there was a new tomb that no one had lain in before. The tomb experience in your life, the tomb experience in my life, is about laying down new patterns. It's about laying down new grooves in consciousness, eros, that have yet to be seen in your life, in my life, and in the life of our world. The time in the tomb, the representation of coming into the divine darkness, is symbolized in this black rock. And I invite you today to hold in your own awareness, in your own heart, the space of silence, the vast void that will be the revelation of the resurrection in your own life. That coming into this time of the quiet, you may be going about your day and experiencing your normal kinds of activity, but hold silence to the degree that you are able to do that. It is possible to indicate that we may want to order something or need to purchase an item if you are in that kind of activity, and still retain silence. And even with that, I would invite you that as you go through your day to set aside a particular point in time where you will sit, where you will rest, and be in the void. This is perhaps the most difficult, believe it or not, point on this path of initiation, of coming into mystical union. For going into the divine darkness is actually the place where the complete dissolve, the complete transmutation has to take place. We sometimes forget that when we talk about the butterfly as the metaphor for transformation, the caterpillar going into the butterfly, we sometimes forget that the caterpillar is completely dissolved while it's in the chrysalis. Nothing of what it formerly was remains. The same is true for us in this experience of being in the divine darkness, in the tomb. So let us enter into a time of silence together. And so I invite you to become still wherever you may be, to take a deep breath, almost as if it is the last, and come into the divine darkness, and let us wait. Let us wait and rest on the beloved.